What's up guys and welcome back to the channel. I'm Andy the Middle Age Gamer and this is the first of two comparison videos with the MWS ZET system. Basically, over the last few months I've been asked a lot recently about what's the best GBBR to buy for my first GBBR. That's by people that are just getting into airsoft and also by those that have been running AEGs but want to get into gas blowbacks, just they don't know what to do. Now, to be honest with you, I'm hoping we can answer that question by the end of this video, or at least put you on the right track to finding your own answers. With that being said, representing the MWS ZET system, you have the Noveske N4. This is Double Eagle's 2023 latest and greatest gas blowback, I would say, rifle that fully recreates one-to-one the Tokyo Marui MWS ZET system, which means you do have access to over a decade's worth of aftermarket parts. At the top, you have the VFC SR16 E3 Gen 3, representing the 2023's latest and greatest spec within VFC's family. And also it represents the Mil-spec / Mil-sim sort of, how would say, experience. Now, yes, there are other companies out there, but when you're looking for parts availability and cost, these are basically the best of the best that you can purchase at this moment in time. Also, people are asking, well, why don't I stick a JHK on there? Well, coming in at just under £1,000 for a standard receiver, how would say, latest URGI or whatever you over here, with a few mags, or $1,500 to $2,000 if you buy the forged receiver with only forged receiver compatibility. You can see why that's not on this table. I wouldn't advise that for anyone as their first GBBR. Now, if you ask me what's the best GBBR for in the world, well, that'll be a different story. So, with that being said, let's get the usual disclaimers out the way. Firstly, aimed at YouTube, these are airsoft toys. They are not real firearms. There are no real firearms in this video or in any of my videos. And for you guys, just to clarify, I bought these with my own money. I put my own skin in the game in that respect. This is my own opinions based off my own experience running these two guns and using them and dumping quite a fair few bottles of BBs through them. So with that being said, let's zoom in and start going over it. Okay, so here we are with the Noveske MWS system. Okay, let's remove this magazine, make sure everything is safe, no rounds in the mag, and we have nothing in the chamber. So as you can see. Now, both these awesome, I would say, replicas do an awesome job. Like I say, if you're looking for your first GBBR, you don't want to be spending way too much money on, how would you say, a product you're not sure about. Especially if you've been running an AEG, which they're not cheap anyway. Moving over to gas blowbacks does require you to make a lot of compromises. One of them, if I place that down, is going to be the magazines. This magazine is a Marui spec and will work in any Tokyo Marui, how would say, M4 and any of the Marui, how would say, compatible M4s. So whether it's TA, whether it's, I believe, there's so many companies out there now that have started to clone it this year from Asia. Basically, they'll work. And of course, you can fit any of their mags in here too. So you can put the Lancer from TA, you can put Marui's Stanag, you can do whatever you want. These are 35 round mags and they retail anywhere from £49 at the cheap end to £69.99 at the more expensive end. Again, it depends on, how to say, your retailer, the time of year, how many have been manufactured, etc. There's always so many mitigating factors. So if you have that anywhere from £50 to £70, you understand. So you got great mag selection already. Now, for the VFC, as I say, you do have the VFC standard Stanag mag. This is the Gen 3. As you can see, you get the little red lock, the follower down so that you can dry fire on that. Again, nothing in there. Oh, that's a strong bolt and a big strong home click. But yeah, for you guys on the camera there, you can see nothing in there, but you can slide that home. Okay. So, with that being said, this is absolutely a marvelous piece of kit. But this one does come at a price. This features VFC's latest and greatest, features their new Gen 3 internal system, steel bolt carrier, you name it. But again, is it worth the £600 or not to you? Again, it's going to vary depending on your experience. You may find it a bit daunting. So why don't we do this? Let's get these disassembled so we can actually go over the internals, which are where the differences lie and what will be better for you. Okay guys, now that we've got it all disassembled, we can actually go over the main differences between the MWS and a, mil-spec / mil-sim rifle. Okay, so let's start with the MWS. First of all, I want to clarify, people ask me like what sling plates fit on this. As I said in the comment, or replied in the comment, any sling plates that you want to fit have to be MWS. Now, if you're here in the UK, just bob on to Fire Support, Mil-spec Solutions. They all do MWS parts. There's a lot all over the country. You'll be able to find anything that's MWS and it will fit. The reason being is this buffer tube is about 1/1000 of an inch smaller than true mil-spec, which is why if you put a real mil-spec stock on this, it's a bit wobbly. But you could do that, fit it, no problem. Now, that's your first difference between the two. The VFC one is true mil-spec, so any real AR-15 sling plate will fit that, and any VFC ones, etc., aftermarket, you name it. There's so many different ones that will fit that. But with this, there's over 1,000 of them. You just got to make sure it says MWS or TM spec. Okay. Now, when it comes to the internals, this is where things start to be different between the two. This is a night and day. With the MWS here, you can see that you have, it's not so realistic, but you do have a hammer in there that's a short throw hammer with a nice roller on the top. This is all steel internals on this particular model. If you purchase a real TM, it won't be. Just something to bear in mind, but real TMs are coming in at, like proper Tokyo Marui. The URGI, for instance, costs £630. They're expensive. This is 350, but yet they give you steel where the other one doesn't. Go figure. Now, because of the roller here, and if you look at the bolt carrier here, you have a roller here. This is a way more of a smooth shooter gun than your VFC counterpart, your GHK, or even KWA. Okay, this is really smooth. It cycles, has about 1,000 rounds a minute, shoots about 1.5 inch group. And the FPS, well, that's going to be up to you and what you do with the gun and what gases and so on. So I'm not going to go into FPSs. It's more about how it shoots at the end of the day. Because FPS, you can have whatever FPS you want in this game. You can just adjust, purchase an end pass nozzle, or you can purchase a different barrel length and get the FPS that you desire. So that's easy. It's the recoil feeling that you buy these for, the realistic function. And externally, this functions like a real firearm. Mags are inserted correctly, etc. But internally, as you can see, they went for a realistic look. Now, Tokyo Marui, over 12 years ago, was going to launch their gas blowbacks with a realistic hammer. GHK launched first, along with WE, and when you're seeing hammers broke within a few mags, they decided to hold off, go back to the drawing board, and redesign the internals to be more reliable. You see, Tokyo Marui are more into, we want to give you a product that works than a product that you have to fix and repair regularly. And so the ZET system, as it's called, was designed. What that means is here inside, as you can see, you have your ZET plate. Now, the bolt stop release is not what impinges on the bolt anymore. It's this little lever here that goes pop. If you can see there's a slight little hook in there, and that catches onto the bolt hook here. That's a steel insert piece to this bolt carrier, and we'll lock on to that, allowing it to lock back pretty much guaranteed 99% of the time, unless your gas is so far down that it's not even enough to cycle one round. Okay, so generally this is really good. You know that at the end of the second mag that you put through with BBs, it's still going to keep locking back. That, to me, is worth every penny whatsoever. When it comes to the buffer system inside it, because it's not running on, a heavy bolt carrier, you can get away with a polymer one, and TM did. This bit of plastic, well, I whacked the camera there with the recoil spring, has a little bit of a weight inside it. You don't feel it much, but it is a nice polymer buffer and it will do the job very well. The medium strength spring allows for a smoother cycling of it. Again, you're not fighting it. It doesn't need to because it's not a heavy weight. So it's all tuned exactly to this weapon. Okay, that's what you want, a well-tuned. And that's how I would describe this. This is like a real steel AR and cycles like a real steel AR that's well-tuned to the gas system, to the bolt weight, to the buffer spring and buffer. And that's what you want so that you can go out there and shoot and enjoy yourself and not be worrying about what's going on inside. Now, on the other side of that coin, if we flip the Marui out the way, let's take a look at the VFC. Now, as you can see, this VFC looks like a real firearm and functions like a real firearm. Okay, why do I say that? Because basically your trigger, your hammer, your little bits of sears inside there, your fun sear, everything here is steel. As you can see, it's all steel. Just like the Marui has steel now, or the Marui spec with the double eagle Noveski has it, so does this. Off the bat, everything is steel. Okay? And that's what you want. You want good steel because with this one, you're running, instead of a 216 gram bolt like this with an adjustable weight that you can take off and put a different weight on, with this one, it's one solid unit, but it weighs 345 grams. This is a heavy bolt, and you feel it in your shoulder every time. And because of that, this system has more wear and tear on it than the Marui. Again, there's no rollers, there's no smoothing it out. It will cycle aggressively. So much so, to help it cycle, they had to give you a, how would you say, I can separate that. I love it that I put them next to each other. There we go. But as you can see, you get your milled aluminum heavy buffer with a, you can hear in there, shake weight in there to stop the anti-bounce, as they call it. And you get a really heavy spring. Okay, and that basically has the advantage of overcoming the weight of the bolt carrier inside it. And like I say, helping it cycle smoothly enough, but it's still more aggressive than the Marui due to the heavy mass. But again, with more mass means that as the gas runs down in your mag, when you start to get to, say, the last 5-6 rounds of shots, sometimes you might not get a lot back because there is what they call a braking system. You know, you got to wear this in, basically. You got to give it a good wearing in period of about 1,000 rounds on semi, and that'll help everything start to work in, and you've got to lube it. Now, with the Marui system, you could go 2-3 game days, you know, like 3 times to your gaming arena and enjoy 3 days worth of shooting before you would even think about cleaning it. With the VFC, pretty much every time you go shooting, you're going to have to clean it when you come home, re-lube it, because again, the bits of metal that will wear out as it is, like I say, as close to the real steel, you do get the wear and tear like the real. You can see here on the hammer, if I put that there, you can see the wearing side of things. It's just putting a tiny bit of grease and basically lubing things up, making sure everything is nicely lubed and ready, and that'll cycle correctly. Okay, and that's what you want. You've got to keep that up, and if you don't like putting so much work and effort into it every time, and you just want to shoot, the Marui is going to be the sort of like the way for you. So, like I say, that's your lowers, your bolts. When it comes to hop, as we already know, the Marui hop is a separate unit right here to the hop chamber itself, so you can take everything off and put it on any other Marui, and that is basically just a Marui spec in there. It's pinned in. You just take it out, you know, with a screw in, or with a screw in there. You'll just undo that screw, and you can take the whole unit out and replace it. That little wheel here, where my finger is, right there, is your hop adjustment. You can, if you're good enough with dexterity, reach it with your finger through the ejection port without disassembling. With the Tokyo Marui, with the VFC, sorry, this one is, if I can show you in there, your whole front hop chamber, front trunnion, whatever you want to call it, and that is your hop chamber. So inside here, you'll have a milled aluminum insert with all your bucking, your barrel, your hop, all in one unit, which is good for reliability and for tightness. You're not having one separate unit here in the upper receiver and one in the rest in the handguard. And that has an extended tail that goes to your front gas block, where you would use an Allen key down the front to adjust the hop without disassembly. Again, pros and cons of both, but there is a compromise. So why don't we look at the charging handles? Again, when you're looking on the Marui spec, your charging handle is going to Marui spec, because if we put them side by side, you can see here the VFC one is Mil-spec and will run any AR-15 part, but you can't use it in a actual MWS. You will have to buy the MWS style. Okay, so let's get this all put together and we'll discuss. Okay, before we go into our final thoughts, now that they're all assembled, I just want to take this moment to say a huge thank you to everyone who's subscribed to the channel. You guys are all amazing as always. And if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. Leave a like and comment. It'd be amazing if you could do that. And if you want to help the channel a little bit more, you can always use the super thanks in the options down below. That's more than welcome. It helps put more, I would say, cool guns on this table for you guys to see and for me to review for you guys. So I'll leave that up to you. You don't have to, but everything is welcome what you guys do. You are all amazing. Now, let's go over our final thoughts. So, okay, as I said at the beginning, you need to ask yourself what type of airsofter you are. Are you a fast, lone wolf, go quick, run hard? Or are you a work with a teammate, methodically clean rooms, and do it correctly, I would say, to the military doctrine? Whichever one of those you are will determine which ones to recommend for you. But as this is your first gas blowback airsoft rifle, this is what I would say. Okay, my first airsoft gas blowback rifle was the Tokyo Marui MWS, the M4A1 to be exact, the first TM and the first for me. It was an amazing piece of kit. It was recommended to me by my site manager at Halo Mill because, as he said at the time, the others are so expensive, you don't know if you're going to like it. Again, there's a lot more into gas blowbacks than the average person thinks. Yes, it's 15 minutes to clean your rifle, but that's 15 minutes you have to do every time you go shooting, and it adds up. There are also parts breakages that are a lot more difficult to find when compared to an AEG, for instance. So again, and with AEGs, you have 120, 200, 300 rounds in your magazine. You're never reloading unless it's the end of the game and you're back in the safe zone. Whereas with these, you will be getting multiple mags, that's extra cost, and you will be reloading a couple of times in the gameplay, depending on how you shoot. So, for me, as my site recommended, I would say go for the MWS system. For instance, this Noveski right here, it's £350, and the real, I would say, world out there here in the UK, you can easily afford that enough that it's not so much of a sting. Paying $650 to $680 for the VFC, for instance, is a bit of a steep ask, especially when you're talking these magazine costs. They're both identical in prices and range. They have many versions. With the VFC, you have PMags as well, Gen 2s, Gen 3s. There's third-party magazines made for it now, just like the MWS. So, with that being an extra cost, this is a really good option for you to pick up. Learn gas blowbacks, and when you're happy, if you stay in the Marui family of guns, just keep your magazines, trade in your gun, upgrade to a different one that you want, or if you want to go Mark 18 afterwards, or you want to go to a URGI, you can do that, and all the mags work and fit as well. And all your parts and all your stuff, it's your ecosystem. Same with the VFC. If you like that gun and you want to go to, say, the Rattler, there's your magazines. It's an extra cost saving. So whichever one you choose will last you just that little bit longer, depending on what you want to do. And as the VFC system is getting more popular now in airsoft, it's been growing over the last 4 years. Their build quality has just been knocked out the park over the last 2 years. Everything's just getting good. They're both good options, but I would certainly go for this as my first, and then maybe upgrade to something like the SR16 or a URGI from TM later on, when I really know in my heart whether I'm happy with gas blowbacks or I want to go back to an AEG. So hopefully this video has helped you. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I know it's been a bit of a different one. There's not been any shooting out there, but as I've shot these guns in the other reviews, it'd be easy for me to just link those at the end for you guys to go and see if you're interested in seeing how these things shoot and the full breakdown and history behind them. So with that being said, I've been the Middle-Aged Gamer. You guys have been absolutely amazing, and I will see you in the next one.